This is the WyzGuy Radio Show, a podcast dedicated to educating and inspiring through conversations with today's top talents in the world of glass. Hey, what's happening? Welcome to a Glassblower's Companion, episode number 23. How the hell you doing today? Yes, I know. It's been like a month of Sundays since we've had an episode, and I do appreciate everybody who's been downloading and listening to past episodes, as there is a huge catalog of shows I've recorded over the last 5 years, and just can't believe it's going to be coming up on season 6, I think is how the numbers work, come June 5th, which was when episode 1 of with Rashawn Jones first debuted. It's kind of crazy. So thanks to everybody who's been listening and keeping on and touching base and sending me messages and all that good stuff. Before I forget, if you can, leave me a review out there on iTunes. I am putting together a little fun, I guess, a bribe, which I've done in the past, because I know how some of y'all out there need a little bribe to get off your ass and do things. So I'm going to be putting together a little sticker pack for you as my way of saying thank you for leaving a review on iTunes. So basically between now, I'm recording this, today is, what the hell is today? March 25th. So between the day of this recording of March 25th, you won't be hearing this until probably the 26th, but between March 25th and the end of April, anybody who leaves me a review and then sends me an email with a screenshot of your review, you can really just leave them on iTunes, I believe, is how most of the podcast apps are working nowadays, or on Apple Podcasts. Whether you have a Droid or you have iPhone or whatever, you can still use the Apple Podcast app, or you can even go online and help leave a review there. Whether it's a 5-star review or a star review in general or any type of written review. Both definitely help, but one or the other also works. And just do a little screenshot, send it my way via email to WyzGuyMedia@gmail.com. I'll have that link in the show notes. And I also will have a link to the podcast on Apple iTunes in the show notes to help make it a little easier for you. And this just really just helps with the algorithms and the visibility that is out there in the world of the lords of algorithms within iTunes, who is the main masters that hold all of our podcast episodes and kind of steer in the directions that they go into, and popularity and visibility and all that good stuff. So we've been getting some really good download numbers, even though I had not posted episodes, but I do want to help increase the numbers and the exposure, really, of our community in general, because there's some incredible things that are going out there in the world of glass right now that I hope the world sees. And that being said, I know that a lot of the world has been watching Netflix's season 2 of Blown Away, which featured our pal Mike Shelbo, a member of the lamp working community. It was really cool to see him on there. I guess if you haven't seen the entire season, I don't want to spoil it, so I'm not going to say too much about it. But just kind of what am I looking for, the word here? I don't know. But just on a side note, coming up in future episode, we're going to be doing a full breakdown of the entire season of Blown Away. I actually had thought about doing a episode-by-episode kind of review with my wife, who's not a glassblower, so it coming from a perspective of someone that's a layman in a sense. But I don't know. The episodes are kind of short. The season was 8 episodes, I believe. So we're just going to do a single episode breakdown of the show and talk about it. And I've reached out to Mike Shelbo about having him on the show as well. So hopefully he will return and get on the show. It would be pretty cool to have him on here to talk about his experience, some behind-the-scenes stuff about that too. So if you have not yet seen Blown Away, season 2, definitely go check it out on Netflix. I personally, just on one little side note here, I was not a huge fan of season 1. Or season 2, honestly. I love the premise of the show and the concept and the fact that it's exposing the world to the world of glass. I have guests every day over at the Mouse House bringing it up and asking me about it, and I give them my opinion and let them know I'm not really a fan of it. However, I do enjoy the fact that there is exposure of the glass world to the rest of the world so they can actually see what happens. However, which I'll get into in our full review of the show, you don't really get to see a lot of the process, which to me is extremely frustrating. Those of us who understand glass, whether you've worked on the torch or worked the furnace or both, you have an understanding of what it takes and what goes into it. And for those watching that don't have an idea, it just looks magical to them, which it is, but it's also just looks like you gather some glass, you make a couple things, and voila, you have this amazing piece. They don't see the cold work that goes into it and all those kind of different things outside of the studio to have the final piece of art. And as a lot of us know, it's more than just making a pipe or a vase or a bowl or some kind of character. There's a lot that goes into it, including all the stuff that will lead up to that piece being created, like all the stuff you broke in the process of learning. So, like I said, we'll get into that down the road in another episode. Some other important news that's been happening, two members of the glass community, one person that is a main member, another person who is a member via connections. But first is Sarita Glass, Sarah Hancock. She lost her house to a fire recently. Steve and Lacey Walton, also known as Scuba Steve and Laceface, put together a GoFundMe to help her recover, and they set it at $20,000. They've actually raised $23,000 already, which is just fucking incredible. And thank you to anybody who's donated. I'm gonna have a link to the GoFundMe in the show notes to help out. I'm gonna be doing a couple fundraisers here myself for her, but also for Joaquin, who was a guest on episode 4. He also lost his house to a fire. Thank God, between both situations, nobody was injured. Everybody got out safely. There was property lost, equipment and stuff that was able to be salvaged is there, but you can go check out both of their Instagrams. I'll have the links in the show notes. Sarita Glass, Sarah Hancock's her name, but Sarita Glass is her Instagram. And then Joaquin's is Blazing Heart Productions. It's just tragic. With 2020, the way the year went, and now 2021 is not going too well for some folks in our community. And as we all know, we're one big happy family, and we are here to help each other out. So I wanted to make sure that I am bringing this up. So if you're not aware of this happening, definitely go check out Sarita Glass on Instagram, and also Joaquin at Blazing Heart Productions. Joaquin was him and Eli Mazet together co-produced Pipetown USA documentary that came out about the pipe community and how it started up in Oregon. Fascinating documentary. One way you can help out Joaquin is by purchasing the documentary that he has. It's available on DVD, I believe, and I'll have links for that in the show notes as well. But just my heart just bleeds for these folks, and I just couldn't imagine. I did a past episode on getting yourself set up for emergencies. Being here in Florida, it was actually an episode I recorded it out in my porch during hurricane. What hurricane was that? I'm having a complete brain fart. Either way, it was a motherfucker. But I recorded the episode out on the porch, and it was basically just some things and ways that you can get prepared just in case, because I know a lot of you out there in the West Coast that have dealt with fires in the past. Sometimes you got to just grab whatever you can to get the fuck out of there before the fires get to you, and then you're stuck somewhere for a couple weeks at a time. If you're a glass blower and you need to grab your equipment, the best thing to do is just have a tucker tote, have an emergency list taped to the top of that, and just pretty much have it ready to be filled and get the fuck out of there as fast as you can. I don't remember what episode number it was, but I will put the link in the show notes for that episode as well. And again, it was just a quick little WyzGuy Minute episode, just becoming prepared for emergencies, because we never know. And again, like here in Florida, we have a couple days away to see when things are coming so we can prepare. But if you're out west and you're dealing with forest fires, sometimes you don't have but minutes to get out. And in this case, with Sarah and Joaquin both, they were the same way. They had minutes to get out, and fortunately, again, they all got out of their houses safely, and everybody survived, thank God. So we can always help them rebuild now since they still have their lives. So again, I'll have all the links to their GoFundMes for both parties in the show notes for you. And even if you can just help with just $1, it's whatever you can helps. It just goes a long way. So there you go. Hope you guys can help out there. We just had champs here in Orlando just passed. Saw some pretty good notes from those on Instagram who were talking about the show and sharing their productivity and their sales, and a lot of folks I saw actually did pretty good. I know the last time I went to champs here in Orlando, it was the first year that they had it here, And I was blown away by the amount of import glass that was in the space. I'm not sure how that is this year because of COVID and the lack of stuff able to come across seas and being imported. So I'm just kind of curious to see how that went with that. I'm going to talk to some folks and just kind of ask some questions behind the scenes, and I will fill you in when I find out. And speaking of trade shows, Las Vegas is coming up very soon. They are going to be at the Bally's Las Vegas Resort in Las Vegas, Nevada, from May 13th to the 15th, 2021. As long as everything goes as planned, I will have Amy on the show here pretty soon. We're going to be talking about this year's trade show, as well as some of the precautions and measures that they are taking to make sure that everybody that is selling and visiting is safe. And definitely something to look forward to, having her back to talk about this upcoming show. I want to go this year, but I'm not prepared for it myself personally. Financially wise, I could fly out there with rates right now for flights are so cheap. But just time wise and just the fact that we're still in this pandemic and I have not yet got my vaccine and all that good stuff, I'm going to be staying home, watching from a distance and getting some information from some friends and folks that are going to be inside. As well as straight directly from Amy Short, who's putting on the show with her cast of amazing folks out there that are putting on this trade show. So stay tuned for that as well. And on today's episode, I have a interesting talk with guests from Aqua. And today I have a pretty unique conversation with Stephen Randolph from Aqua Payments. This is the first time having someone of this caliber talking about this kind of stuff. I know in the past we've talked about issues that whether you're a smoke shop, dispensary, a glass blower, pipe maker, maintaining and obtaining payments can be a real pain in the ass when you're dealing with some of these major corporations out there that are not friendly to the communities. And I know there's some banks out there that are willing to help out. In this conversation, him and I talk about some, not specific banks in general, but like credit unions. Typically, I think it's because they're more privately run banks. They're more apt to help high-risk businesses. And this conversation is about high-risk businesses, whether you are a smoke shop or a brothel. It's all high. It's considered all high risk. And I know myself, I've been affected through PayPal having over $1,000 in sales, basically given back to the customer who did in fact receive their stuff and said that they didn't. And even though I had proof of shipping and tracking information and everything else, they sided with the customer. And I pretty much said, fuck them from here on out. I don't take any money or use them for anything. And I'm not going to promote negative things on the show, but I wanted to bring Stephen on. He actually contacted me, and some of you out there may have actually received a message on Instagram, him just letting you know, hey, if you need processing for high-risk payments, there are folks, and they're a newer company, but his background is pretty unique. He's also a stand-up comic, which is fun. So this is a fun, unique conversation him and I have. It's a short episode, short conversation, just basically because it's not glass talk. I could have gone on and still talk to him for hours because we have a lot in common. But I really wanted just to kind of fine-tune the conversation about the payment processing and stuff. So if you are looking for payment processing, they're not affiliated with the show at all. They're not sponsoring the show at all. I just wanted to bring them up and bring them on the show and also promote them because they're doing a benefit for the community. So if you're looking for an affordable way and need to promote or to process payments for sales, whether you're a smoke shop or you have a website, take credit cards, etc., Aqua Payments is definitely a company to check out. So I hope you enjoy this episode with Stephen Randolph. I'll have all of his links in the show notes. You can find them on Aqua Payments on Instagram. And again, hope you guys enjoy. Don't forget to check out the links for Sarah and Joaquin, their GoFundMes to help those folks get back on their feet and get some shelter over their head and their homes rebuilt. And other than that, I hope you're enjoying this spring, whether you're freezing or you're sweating like we are down here in Florida. And you're staying healthy. And again, thanks for the patience for episodes coming out. And other than that, again, if you can leave me a review out there on iTunes, would help out tremendously. Take a screenshot, send me an email at WyzGuyMedia@gmail.com. I'll have the link for my email in the show notes. And then I'll send you a little sticker pack in the mail as a thank you. And until next time, happy melting. Love you so much. Take care. Peace. Hey, what's up, Steven? Welcome to the show.
Hey, how you doing, man?
Pretty good, brother.
I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, man. Likewise, good to have you on. It's always fun. So, those that listen to the show know that we're all about glass and talk, but I also like to have side shows talking about things within the industry that I find of importance, whether it's health, legal matters. For you, for instance, payment processing, which is I know has been an issue within the pipe industry, the cannabis industry, lots of adult industries just in general over 20, 30 years, if not longer than that.
Yep.
And you guys are kind of somewhat on the forefront of really helping out those that are in need. And I've heard horror stories from smoke shops and people losing thousands and thousands of dollars, whether it's being confiscated from banks or things being returned. Or myself, like I had an issue with PayPal having a customer dispute and I couldn't fight it. If we have payments or things that are being shipped through the post office, because we're using the post office to ship pipes. In a sense, it's a federal offense because we're shipping tobacco products and things across state lines, so we can't dispute damages. There's so much bullshit we have to deal with, and I was
Yep.
excited that you guys had contacted me because this is something that I find of importance right now, especially with the way that things have been going virtually and
hmm
payments being processed, through Cash App and Zells and different things like that. But payment processing in general is important because for one, it's convenient, and two, it helps you to keep track of all your shit, your payments, your ins and outs, your taxes, all that stuff, and it really legitimizes yourself as a business, I think, as well. So,
I agree,
yeah.
100%.
So before I get off the tracks here, if you want to give us a little background and how you got into the actual processing, payments industry and where you are now with things.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah. Well, it was kind of an interesting road, just like any other, getting into most businesses. It's not just you kind of stumble in and you're like, how did this happen? And where am I? And what is, 9 years ago, I didn't even know what high risk payments was.
Yeah.
And here I am owning my own company in high risk payments. So, it started with a lunch in Venice, California with an acquaintance that we got along. We met through mutual friends, and he said, "Hey, I happen to be living in Venice at the time." He said, "Oh, you live in Venice too? You ever want to meet on Abbott Kenny? That's like the cool street there for lunch. I'd love it." And we went to lunch, me and this guy, and we'd never talked business. I didn't know what he did. He didn't know what I did. I was still am a stand up comic at the time, and eventually we started going to regular lunches on Saturdays. And I said, his name was Theo, or is Theo. I said, Theo, what do you do? He said, I'm a payments attorney. I said, a payments attorney? And he goes, oh, I'll get into it one time. It's kind of a wild world. And I said, no, get into it right now. What the hell is a payments attorney? He goes, anytime you buy like either like pornography or a nutraceutical pill or CBD or whatever online. And I said, yeah. And he said, if there's ever been a dispute online. And I said, yeah, when you don't get your money back. He goes, I'm the guy that they call. And I said, well, who's they? He said, whoever's paying. So whether that's the merchant selling it, whether that's the customer who's pissed off, whether that's the FTC who wants to go after someone, or the FDA, he represented whoever was paying. And I said, okay, well, it's like, a couple $100 here or there. I just didn't have like a scope of what he was doing. He said, no. At the, at a certain level, he goes, if you ever want to know what I do, Google the Snuggies guy. You remember that Snuggies,
Yep.
he goes, Google the Snuggies guy. And he goes, you'll find out the whole kind of hustle and what people are doing and where people are getting in trouble and what the deal is. And so I Googled the Snuggie guy, and I guess don't quote me on this. You can Google it for real fat, the actual factual numbers, but he sold however many millions of Snuggies, and he made millions more putting people on an automatic subscription to Snuggie magazine or to some health magazine.
Hmm.
And I was like, oh, what weird. Yeah, I remember the Snuggie. Well, there's just this whole slew of folks in e-commerce that will sell this product late at night on TV, and then all of a sudden they hook you up with an automatic magazine or whatever it is, and bang your credit card for 6 months. Then they get caught, they get in trouble, they go hide on a boat somewhere in the Cayman Islands, they hire an attorney. And because of activity like that, anytime you sell something online with e-commerce, there's a certain level of risk. And if there's a subscription model to it, there's an extra higher level of risk. And so therefore it's called high risk payments. I mean, because folks are able to do kind of crazy things. So that's the high risk world. So anybody selling adult a subscription model. Women's makeup is high risk, believe it or not, because there's a high return on that. Anything, we call it cannabis related. So you folks are in our world is cannabis related, whether that's soil, whether that's growing, lights, whether that's an actual pipe, vape, it's cannabis related, and there's issues there because of reputational risks. Like a lot of times people at the bank will say, well, I don't know if we want this on our portfolio or on our books, and so there's kind of a reputational risk element to it. So that elevates the risk, and that makes it a little more expensive and a little more tricky to get processing, which I think is unfair. I don't smoke anymore, but I did my whole life, and I love cannabis. I think it's great, and the fact that someone may be selling a really cool bitchin' dab rig or cannabis pipe, that I don't think that they should be in trouble for selling that, or have to hide around or do Zelle payments, or hey, Venmo me, and let's hope we don't get caught. I think that's ridiculous. I think the thieves out there, I think the FTC and the FDA and everybody that's kind of cracking down on people that are stealing, that's horrible. It's the worst thing in the world if someone thinks they're buying a product. But I think where my heart's really in is like reputational, like adult. If all of a sudden they just shut down a bunch of adult companies because they don't like it, or they shut down a bunch of whoever it is, I think everybody should have, unless they're not breaking the law, should have access to the payment gateway, and that's not what's happening. But I digress. So I found out about the Snuggies guy. I Googled it, and then he said, hey, I'd love to have you come and do marketing at my law firm. And I said, I'm a stand-up comedian. No, thank you. I'm not going to. He goes, no, I just want you to post some funny stuff and, help me blog and help me on LinkedIn and Instagram, because I'm a little bit younger than him, and help me kind of spruce up my company and reach out to people. And I said, I'm not interested in working at a law firm. I said, I don't want to wear a suit and tie, because I was doing stand-up at night. And he goes, you can come in from 12 to 5. I'm an e-com attorney. I don't see my clients. You could wear a Speedo and up. And I was like, okay, yeah. Speedo up 12 to 5. He goes, do you have health insurance? I said, not right now, like every stand-up comic, And he goes, I'm buying you health insurance. And I said, I don't know, man, I'm pretty expensive. And he gave me a rate that I was like, whoa, because it's very niche. So these e-commerce attorneys, you ever get in trouble, you'll find out. You ever have issues and you need an e-commerce attorney, it's $500 an hour, $700 an hour. So he offered me a really good rate. It's like the Godfather thing. He gave me an offer I couldn't refuse. Right. So there I am doing marketing for a payments company, and then doing stand-up at the Comedy Store in Hollywood at night. And I learned payments really well, like just by doing the ads for him and the marketing and reaching out to people on social media and LinkedIn. And 3 years later, I'm working with this guy who's an expert in payments, and I didn't even realize it was happening because I was just so involved in reaching out to people, making him look good online. And I learned more. It was like being in the medical. It was like being in the ER. I saw the blood. I learned like under a physician. So yeah. I didn't realize how much I was learning. And what would happen, a typical thing. So say you have like a glassware company. Let's talk about you folks. So you have a glassware company doing $100,000 a month, right? Some, bigger, 100, 200, 300,000, some huge company. And all of a sudden their processor steals from them. They call up this attorney. They say, hey, so-and-so processor just took my reserves, stole a couple months from me. They're holding 400,000. Well, who were they? Well, I don't know. I met him at a credit card convention. Well, there was the guy. Well, I don't know. I think they were in Sweden, or maybe India. I'm not sure. They weren't in the United States. So then they pay him all kinds of money to try to find this payment processor and get the money back for them. Well, whenever it gets fixed up, what they ended up doing is saying, well, who do you trust that's a payment processor? And he had about 5 or 6 companies that he would refer deals to. And it's illegal for an attorney to get paid on referrals. So he would just refer them off. And he floated the idea out to me, hey, we should start a payment processing company. We know this better than anybody. We could just refer the deals back to us. We'll take care of everybody because we know this. We know where their pain points are. We know where they're hurt. And we'll just make sure not to do that. And blah, blah, blah. I said, no, man, I'm a stand-up comedian. I don't want to own a payments credit card processing company. Well, then I got engaged. And he was very smart with his timing. He would wait. He waited until I got married. Then he said, are you sure you don't want to make some extra money for your family? And we started, he got me, and we started a high risk. a high risk credit card business, and that was about 3 years ago, and we did very, very well. You know, one of the biggest brothels I put a post on Facebook. Hey, if anybody needs high risk credit card processing, not thinking any of my comic friends would know what the hell that was. I got a response instantly. Do you know so and so ranch in Nevada, the biggest brothel there? I said, of course I do. There's like 7 brothels. And my friend said, I know the owner. He just lost his credit card processing. I said, why? And he goes, reputational risk. A new bank bought the portfolio. I guess the guy was a Christian or didn't think prostitution was a good thing, and they just terminated the account just on reputational risk. The actual place didn't do anything wrong. They lost like, you know, whatever it was, $1 million or $2 million a month in processing. So I had the guy's cell phone, the owner of the brothel, and I called and I said, hey, I think I could help you. And that was client number 1. And we just took off from there. We did really, really well over the last 3 years. Right before quarantine, I just had a gut feeling I wanted to start my own company. And I said, hey, I think I want to part ways and just do things myself. I kind of wanted to pivot in a different direction. My old partner wanted to do more low risk, so like restaurants, and he was kind of getting older too. So I think he wanted stuff that wasn't as wild as what I was into. So he wanted just to do coffee shops and restaurants where, you know, it's just a more normal kind of conventional world. And I'm a stand-up comic. I'm a little edgy. I like the wild side of life. And so I just love high risk payments, or anybody who's getting, you know, not a fair shake. And I like fighting, and I like talking shit, and I like fighting for my merchants, and I like merchants that are kind of pushing the edge of what they're doing. He bought me out, and I started Aqua Payments. And so my company specializes in people that have had a hard time getting credit card processing. And I enjoy the battle, and I enjoy the difficulty level, and I enjoy helping people that are kind of punk rock on the outskirts of the payment world. And that's glass, that's adult, that's CBD, and those are my people. And I'm more comfortable with these people, or with you all, than with a pizza shop,
right?
You know, even though they're good, you know,
definitely
more fun to wake up to.
Well, I know like the 20.
Here we are.
Yeah, exactly, and we're still all going virtual. You know, it's amazing, and I'm really curious to see how things, like, there's so many things that have been implemented because of COVID, and you know, blah blah blah, that I'm stoked on, like for life conveniences, you know. And I'm kind of curious to see what's going to stick. And I
100%.
I think you jumping into this is good timing, because it's, you know, like I was saying before, it's like the amount of glass blowers that I've talked to on the show and just outside the show that have actually had one of their best years of their career for 2020, because of social media and things going virtual. But again, you have to have digital payment access, and all these other small companies that are charging crazy fees, or, you know, confiscating funds because of what it is. You know, like there's platforms out there like the Etsy's of the world that you can sell pipes on it, but they're very specific with what the verbiage is, and you know, and forever.
You want to know my big issue? Here's my big gripe, right? You know, my number one. So this is what happens all the time, right? I'm out prospecting, like how I reached out to you. Instagram, by the way, has just been it's free. It's been a blessing for marketing. I just reach out and I just say, hey, you know, if you ever need a merchant account for glassware, I'm your guy, you know. And people are just so grateful to just have that information. And what would I bump up against a lot? And here's the conversation that I'll have after we hang up. I'm going to have this conversation 30 times today. Hey, you know what? I'm on PayPal. And I even made a funny meme my wife thought was too aggressive. It was someone saying, hey, I'm doing great with PayPal right now. And there's a train coming on the track, and the train smashed into the car and said, hey, can I get your number again? I don't think it's working. So my wife's like, Steven, that's a little aggressive. I'm like, I don't give a shit.
But it's how it is, dude.
I'm going to do something. Yeah.
You know, like I got fucked on like $1,000 order one time because it was an order in Scotland.
All the time.
I couldn't track the tracking because with the postal service, and PayPal sided with them because they said they didn't get their shit, and I got fucked.
All day long. So I just did stand up in Boise, Idaho 2 weeks ago. The headliner that I went with paid for my plane ticket. But I paid first. He goes, hey, I'm going to shoot you a little. He's such a good guy. He's like, I'm going to shoot you some money back. He shot me money on PayPal. Great. It was great. He's my friend. He wanted to give me money on PayPal. That's great. to buy a $400 dab rig on PayPal is not the tool. That's like,
Yep.
that's like you're a cement company and you're using a Honda Civic to haul cement because it's cheaper. That's just crazy.
Right.
It's not the right tool for the job. So people are like, hey man, it's so much cheaper. The Square and PayPal, and I can almost just set a timer on my phone, and 3 months later I get calls all day. Hey, do you remember me? No, I don't. Oh, I was on Square. Yeah, what happened? Well, I don't know. All of a sudden, like they shut down my account, and now I can't get processing. And I try to call someone else, and I can't get processing anymore. Here, I'm gonna give you in 2 minutes or less what to avoid: Square, Stripe, PayPal, Venmo, Zelle, Cash App. What happened though? If you have a pizza parlor or a coffee shop, those are great tools. If you're selling salads on Sunset Boulevard, use Square, use Stripe. If you're selling CBD, if you're selling an adult, cigars, glassware, don't go the cheaper route. It's so much more expensive, and that's what I tell people. My
Yeah.
product isn't even cheap. It's just slightly more expensive than Square. And what Square does, and this is my issue with Square, they're a great company. They're not bad vibe at all. But Square, Stripe, PayPal, they make it easy for everybody to sign up, right? They say, yeah, sure, you're signed up. You're signed up in 2 hours. And then they shut you down later. So they say yes when the real answer is no. And then they shut you down later, which I have a problem with. You should just say no right off the bat and don't just drag people through the mud. And what happens is what people don't know, because of working at this law firm, and any of the listeners out there, your glassware, you should be Googling and knowing what this is. Google the match list, MATCH, or TMF list. They're synonymous. One is for Visa, one is for MasterCard. You lose your processing. Say all of a sudden PayPal terminates your glassware account one day, or Square. They go, oh shit, these guys are doing dab rigs. We just found out what dabs are. We don't like it. Terminate. You get put on a match list, which means you can't get credit card processing in your name for 5 years. So a lot of times, great, I'll be on their website, beautiful glass company. They're just, out of Hawaii, and they're just, it's incredible work. They're selling $80,000 of pieces a month. They were on Square. It was cheaper. Hey, Steve, sorry about it. We're just going to use Square. They call me back and I go, what happened? They go, well, Square has 20,000 of my dollars. I hired an attorney to get it back, and they shut me down and they took my last month's. Okay, cool. So you're out 40 grand, and now you're going to pay an attorney 30 to get it back. Now let's see if we can help you. I go and call my bank, and they say, okay, cool. And I get all the ownership documents. They call me back and say, hey, Steve, so-and-so Hawaii pieces, they're on match list, man. I can't help you. Sorry. It looked like a great company. Sorry, man. They shouldn't have used Square. And that's it. That's it.
Jesus.
And now I could take you. I could take you to a bank in the Cayman Islands. That'll board you. That'll board you for 10%. That I don't really have that much faith in. I don't even, to be honest with you, I don't even do those deals anymore unless it's for like a friend that said, hey, I know the risk. I don't care. I just need to be up. Or sometimes and I don't do this, but they'll have to use their wife's name or their husband's name or their friend's name. So there's not only a risk of losing the processing. 50-50, you get put on this match list, you're screwed. The attorney I used to work for 20 grand will get you off the match list. So you just start getting into these really expensive waters, trying to save a few pennies on processing. And I just, 10 years from now, 5 years from now, this might not be the case. Glassware might not be high risk, but right now it is.
Oh yeah, totally. And it's especially with the legalization of things going on, across the country. It's and every state having their different laws and rules and regulations, and it's horseshit. And I just know, like, cash was always what was my normal payment was cash from everybody. I had a wholesaler that bought a lot of my work, and he paid me in a check. He had a different company name on his checks because it was legitimate for him, and he knew like the risk of having Joe Blow's Tobacco Smoke Shop. I'd get flagged by depositing the check into my bank account. And I've had other smoke shops over the years that have had just a generic LLC, like you said, maybe their wife's name is on there instead, because they know that if I get that payment processed and it says tobacco pipe whatever on there, that I may not be allowed to deposit it. They may close my account and confiscate my shit or confiscate their stuff because of it. It's just,
isn't that crazy? The attorney that I used to work for represented some of the biggest cannabis companies, right? The ones that are on the marquees on all the streets and stuff like that. And he would get in his business bank account, he would get his payments by them flagged. And he'd go, God damn it. But luckily he was a banking attorney. So he'd march in the bank and say, hey, you're not doing this right, and blah, blah, blah. And I would ask him, I would say, hey, he goes, because I'm helping a cannabis related company, even though I'm an attorney, a cannabis / e-com attorney, they would still freeze his accounts. And he would have to go back into the bank and say, no, these are a client. I'm not buying weed from them. I'm actually representing them. And then they would release his funds. And I just think, for me, I just think that's so silly and so stupid. And it's almost stupid that we're even having this conversation.
I agree, man, especially because it's a legitimate $1 billion industry, if not $1 trillion industry. You know, the way things are going, there's so much money to be made, and these banks are like, whatever, you know.
Yeah, but see, that's the one thing that I sell is there's probably about 20 banks in the United States that have an appetite, we call it, for high risk. So maybe they have their real estate, a little bit of real estate in their portfolio. They'll have some checking accounts, some savings accounts. Then they have merchant services, and there's certain banks within their merchant services that have high risk, that are able to take on some high risk. Like I bank at Chase Bank for my business. And they don't do high risk at Chase Bank. So I just told the guy, hey, if you ever have anybody looking for a CBD account, glassware account, please send them over to me. So there's only a certain portion of banks that have high risk. So I think what a lot of folks do as well is they'll lie to the bank. So there's another thing to Google who you're working with, right? If you don't go through me as a payment processor, that's fine. But just Google who you're working with. There's a lot of folks that are just shady in the credit card processing space. It's the last space that's really unregulated by the government. I think it's becoming regulated, but there's so many hustling kind of shithead used cars salesmen that will. So say like I have a glassware company, right? I quote them a certain price. I'm taking them to a legitimate bank, setting up with a merchant account, doing it the right way. A lot of times a guy will come in or a gal will come in and say, hey, heard you're working with Aqua Payments. We could beat the price by 80%. And you're going 80%. Oh, okay. Yeah, we're going to get you up. Dude, they're up in 12 hours. What they'll do is, it's big in our world. It's called miscoding. So they'll say you're selling pizza on your website. It's a pizza place. And they'll miscode it on the app, get you an app for super cheap. They'll process with you for 3 or 4 months. And then you'll get shut down and put on match list. And this payment processor is gone. They're just not returning your calls. It's not worth it for you to go find them. So there's a whole, be really careful who you process credit cards with, because there's a whole slew of this industry of just kind of hustlers that just run around, just doing things the shitty way, looking to make a quick buck, and you don't even know their last name, and it's not worth it. If this shit goes down, it's not worth it for you to find them and hire an attorney. You're just like, I got burned. So that's why you just want to know who you're dealing with, and trust is everything in this business.
Yeah, 100%. That's why I did, like, I got the message from you and stuff, and I was, I went back and forth, but you could have been some fat dude sitting in a fucking chair in his underwear, just, spamming me with some bullshit. So like I went and did some research, and the guys are legit.
Yeah, no, and I appreciate that. And just full transparency, I do sometimes do my marketing in my underwear. So,
hey,
but I've lost
too.
weight, so that's full. Yeah, I am. And a couple months ago, I was chubby, and I was in my underwear. Possibly when I reached out to you. But yeah, but nowadays the beautiful thing is you could just Google. You just Google anybody. Yeah. And a lot of times I work with other processors, and the first thing I'll do is Google their name and BBB. And it's like, 9 people complained about them. I'm not doing business with them.
Yeah, it's smart.
I'm not working with them,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so funny, man, because the tobacco industry for so long has been like tied in with the tattoo industry as like just being these miscreant, degenerate assholes. And don't get me wrong, there's a good percentage of us out there that are that way, but the majority of us in both industries nowadays are fucking legit artists that are just trying to make a living and feed their families, and it's like it don't matter what the hell you make. It's just people are getting fucked.
You know what it is too, and because now I've been in e-commerce 7-8 years, and just having to look at websites and Instagram and stuff, I go with my gut, and that's probably not the best. That's just the best thing that's worked out for me. I could look at somebody's glass site and I either get a good feeling or a bad feeling. I could look at someone's CBD site and your gut says, don't talk to this person. This isn't the right one. Or, these are cool dudes. These are cool gals. Like work with them. And that's every time I haven't listened to that, I've gotten in trouble. And I'm like, why am I dealing with this person? Then they're asking me how to do things illegal. And I'm like, ugh, So like in e-commerce, it's kind of like a gut check thing. I could look at their site, I could look at their products and be like, oh, these people are cool. I want to work with them. I want to help them.
Yeah.
So that's been a game changer for me, is just to actually listen to my gut with these deals, because you're not meeting in face to face a lot. So you can't really see them, look into their eyes. So you're having to look at kind of their site, and you can kind of get a vibe if someone's doing stuff right or not.
Yeah, and that's why I think it's so important for those that have websites and social media, not to rely on those as ways to promote themselves, but if you have them, to make sure that they look decent, that it's just not just some bullshit.
100%. Yep, 100%.
Because professionalism is it's the whole. It sucks, having to judge a book by its cover, but in a sense, we have to, in some sense, business.
100%. Like, who is this person?
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, gut feelings are definitely important. So, do you guys like have specific banks that you're dealing with in terms of processing? So, like, if I had, because I deal with Chase myself, I don't have a business account, just my personal account, but my checks and my payments and everything goes through them. So, if I'm doing processing through you guys, I would get, say I have a sale, I get the order processed through you guys. You guys then have the capital, then you would transfer funds to my Chase account, or are you dealing with specific banks that we have to deal with?
No, to your business bank account. And this is what I always say. I don't get super involved, and I'm becoming more involved. Like, actually, this last 2 weeks, I've been reaching out to business banks just to add more value, and to get more deals boarded. So what I bump up against, let's take CBD, for instance. I don't know if you work with CBD folks at all, or if I should just stick it to glassware, but a lot of times
CBD is fine. I have friends that are in the industry.
Yeah. So CBD and glassware is 80% of my business, and then adult, and then other wild cards. But what I'll do, my first question is for CBD, they have to have their COAs, their certificate of analysis. And then I say, hey, because I'm just giving them I'm supplying them with a merchant account with the bank, but that's different than their business checking account. Right. So my next question is, do you have a business checking account with a bank that knows you're doing CBD, or with a bank that knows you're doing glassware? A lot of banks are cool with glassware. A lot aren't cool with CBD. So I just have to know. So if they're like, well, I'm with Wells Fargo, they don't know I'm selling CBD, it's not worth my time, because what I do is it's a lot of work. We get them set up with a merchant account, and then we start shooting money over to their Wells Fargo, because we're so legit and up and honest and forthright. It says glassware coming through. A glassware merchant, he just sold a glass bong, glass water pipe coming through, and then their personal our banking a business checking account will say, well, wait a minute, we didn't know they were doing glassware, so I have to ask now, before we set this up in 4 months from now. Their Wells Fargo or their Chase or whoever they're using is like, oh, I didn't know you were doing this. So I say, hey, in order to work with you, you got to, there's not a lot. I can't like triple check, but I just say, hey, give me your word. Does your bank know what you're selling? Your glassware, that's fine. We love you. Do you have a business checking account with a bank that knows you're doing glassware? And so what I'm starting to do is build relationships with business banks that have a capacity to bank just for business banking, CBD and glassware and adult and all that kind of stuff. But those are actually hard to find. So what I end up doing is I have a lot of clients in glassware and CBD that are really cool, that have become friends. And if I really like somebody, I will make the intro to the glassware company or to the CBD company, say, hey, would you help them out with banking, or introduce them to your person? And that's the way I do it now.
Which is cool.
Yeah,
man,
but I like to have those relationships. It's a cool vibe to do that, though.
Oh, I agree, and it shows that you have integrity as a business too. You're not just like there to be shady, and you want to keep everything above board.
It's just so much better that way, man.
Yeah,
it's more work, but it's just like I sleep better at night.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. Like, I have friends out in Colorado that cannabis is legal across everything right there, and they have dispensaries, and they get their banks won't take their money, and it's like you have a dispensary, which means that by law you have to have certain filings done, but the federal side of things, whatever. So if you have everything's legit that says this is what I do, and then nobody wants to fuck with you, it's like, okay, so what do? You can't just rely on sticks and stones and stuff for transactions. It's.
I know. I know there are some banks that are, credit unions. I
Hmm.
think a lot of folks are using credit
Yeah, that's what
unions
I've been hearing. Yeah.
for cannabis and CBD. Yeah, like around California, Texas, and Arizona and stuff. So a lot of the companies that I bank for CBD there are work with for CBD bank credit unions. Or there's a company called Dama Financial.
Is that because they're mainly private banks and not like?
I don't know. Honestly, I think so, but I don't know the answer to that 100%. But that's my
Yeah.
guess. Maybe there's just maybe some loophole there. I don't know. Another Dama Financial is another place that a lot of the cannabis folks bank with. I think they're more of a consulting, so they'll find you a bank. But
Okay.
Dama Financial, Dama Financial. But yeah, I'm bumping in. I think First Bank, Torrey Pines Bank, that's like right out of La Jolla, California, right next to San Diego, or in San Diego. They bank a lot of cannabis and CBD. So I'm actually meeting with somebody over there. Just say, hey, if you know people, let's share our resources. Because I have a lot of folks that are, hey, Steve, we're well funded. We have $1 million. We're starting a CBD company. I don't have a business checking account, so it's like I'd love to be able to introduce them to the person over there,
Yeah.
rather than another company that knows somebody that knows somebody.
Yeah, and I think that the fear that a lot of artists out there have because of all this stuff is why they're not legit and why they're not paying taxes and stuff, and why they didn't get a stimulus check because they don't have an LLC because they're not paying taxes. You know what I mean? Like,
I know, I
it
know, I
kills them,
know.
and I preach on this show, like I do, like I was saying, like do little short episodes, and it's, talking about taxes and keeping all your ducks in a row and your financial house and everything. And as much as I can sit here and preach and help and offer PDF downloads to fill out your shit with, a lot of people don't want to do it again because they're afraid of potentially the cops knocking on their door, which probably won't happen, but that's the fear. That you
Yeah,
go to the extreme. Because also a lot of artists in the industry have some sort of mental disorder, quote unquote. We all deal with anxiety or
yeah,
depression or some shit, which then is like a catalyst to
yeah.
fuck you up even more so. So
I
it's
have anxiety bad.
yeah, you and
Yeah, I
me.
work through my anxiety every day.
Yeah, yeah, me too. Yeah, I'm a
Yeah.
quote unquote performer myself. Over at Disney doing glass on stage all day, and early on when I would,
Oh, that's awesome.
yeah, it's a lot of fun. But early on, man, I was like anxious as shit, and I'd get on there and. If I was doing stand-up comedy, I'd be a hot fucking mess. So it's, I think when you're comfortable doing
Yeah.
what you're doing, it's a little different when you're dealing with anxiety.
Yeah, no, but yeah, I got anxiety doing stand up for years and years. I've been doing it about 12 years now, and I don't get it as much, just maybe a little stage nervous before. But yeah, I would throw up before.
Yeah,
I would throw up before. It'd be like, oh my God.
yeah, it's interesting. They always say that those are the kind of things that if you actually are doing that you're probably because you're doing what you should be doing. Like you're just that hyped up and nervous and anxious because you love what you're doing so much and you're that concerned about it.
Yeah, and I've noticed that like the stand-up comedians when I first started that weren't nervous to perform always suck.
Yeah.
And I don't know what that is. I don't know if it was just like they're like, no, I'm not nervous. I'm like, oh. And then they would go and bomb and not know that they bombed. And I'm like, God, that seems like a nice world to live in, just a fantasy world. But
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's not my reality.
Yeah, yeah, I hear you. Yeah, it's interesting stuff, but I don't know, man. I think what you guys are doing is definitely going to benefit, hopefully, millions of people down the road. Especially being brand new that you guys are.
Yeah, it's cool. I watch a lot of mafia videos, and it's funny. Like this. I was watching a video on the guy. I think he's actually the governor of Nevada now. He was the mafia attorney. He moved to Vegas and represented one mobster, and then the next one referred him. Next one referred him. And it's funny. My wife and we always talk about what we're up to at the end of the day, and I'm like, I'm the glassware merchant processor now. She's like, really? I'm like, yeah, because everybody keeps referring everybody. Everybody that I get a merchant account with says, hey, would you help my friend? Would you help my friend? So now all of a sudden, 80% of my business is glassware and CBD too, but it kind of
Mm-hmm.
bumps up into each other. And I didn't plan that. It just, I've gotten pretty good at it and I have it down, and I'm the glassware guy now. And I like it. It's cool.
Heck yeah! Have you looked at getting into like doing like a little booth at like some of the trade shows?
You know what? That's so funny. I was going to ask you when we were texting before the show, when the world opens back up. Yeah, I would actually love to. And I would love to just go because I go to a lot of high risk credit card trade shows, which, by the way, man,
Oh, I could
weirdest
imagine.
trade shows in the world. High risk credit card trade show. I mean, it looks like the space bar from Star Wars when they're all like in that bar and there's just like two people would be barefoot. It's just like and just these e-commerce crazy fucking people.
Yeah.
Telling my wife, I'm like, I've never 30% are criminals. You're just like, what is going on here? But yeah. We're but I like conventions. I like getting out of town and going. What are the good conventions to go to in glassware?
Champs has always been like the big one for like the adult tobacco industry. They've been around for like 40 years now or something out in Vegas. Yeah, it's like the
awesome.
It's like the consumer hospitality adult manufacturing show or some shit like that. It stands for. But the one of the better known ones, it's a newer trade show, is Glass Vegas, and they're actually gonna. I believe it's in end of April, first week, 2 weeks of May. They do it every year. And they're more of like they're specifically for the American glassblower and pipe maker, so they're definitely one. I can actually give you the when we get off the air, I'll give you the contacts for Amy, and she's.
Oh, I'll be there. I'm going to go this year. I'm going to Hawaii at the end of April.
Nice.
But if it's the beginning of May, I'll be there.
Yeah, I'll send you a link to their website and all the show notes.
Oh, cool. That'll be fun.
Yeah, that's definitely a place.
Yeah, that'll be fun to go to. Right on. Yeah, I'll be there. I'm going to start doing that.
Yeah, dude, because you got the whole gamut from smoke shop owners to the actual pipe makers that are there, so you can hit both sides of the fence.
Yeah, perfect.
And then I'll take 10%.
Yeah, hey, I'm reasonable. We can work something out. I'm reasonable. I got to talk to my lawyer first to see what's going on.
Yeah,
here,
me too.
But... yeah, always just put on the lawyer. That's the one thing I learned with the law firm. Just, hey, I got to talk to my lawyer first. There's not even a lawyer.
That goes with any answer to anything. So what are you doing tomorrow night? Let me talk to my lawyer first. So I'll get back to you.
Yeah, exactly, dude. Exactly. Let me talk to my lawyer. See what he says.
Exactly. Yeah, and if you end up going out there, dude, let me know because I'll mention you in some future episodes and post you up about you being
Yeah, let's
there.
grab coffee or something. Yeah, let's grab coffee or something. If you're out there, are you going?
Not this year. No, I'm not prepared for it. So I had the girls on that started the whole Glass Vegas show, and I was supposed to go last year, and then just with my work schedule, it's just timing wise, it just didn't go well. And then with COVID and shit, I don't have I would go there to vend, sell my own mortars, and interview glass blowers and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm just not prepared for it this year, but I'm definitely going for 2022. I'll definitely be there 100%.
2022?
Yeah, I'll definitely be there for sure.
It's so funny. It's May 13th through the 15th. I'm looking right now.
Okay, yeah,
Valley.
exactly.
This will be great. I'm gonna go. Wow. Yeah, I get lost. It's so funny because I have to I have ADD and I'm just prospecting on Instagram and reaching out to glass companies. I get lost on a glass page, looking at the products, and I'm like, Steven, pull out, just get because I just get entranced and we'll start just looking at glass products, and I'm like, I'm working right now, just keep it moving.
Oh, dude, it's the worst. I'm the
cool.
same way. Yeah, I'm medicated and everything because of it. But I just post.
Same.
I stop going on and looking at shit sometimes because I just get lost. I don't go on TikTok because of it. I just get sucked into these 30-second hilarious videos, and
I'm obsessed with TikTok. I just get pulled in. I get pulled in. But I'm really into I saw glass grapes, these purple glass grapes, these fake grapes, and I was like, oh, I want to buy that. Yesterday, I've always loved stained glass as a kid. I'm really into colored glass. It's just always called me.
Hell yeah.
I'm really been really into. I went to Catholic school, so just looking up at those big stained glass just kind of tripped me out as a kid.
Yeah, same here, man.
Head.
I was an altar boy the whole 9 yards.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, it's funny. I think I was 10 or 11, and I was talking to the priest, and then the sex conversation came up, and about priest not being whatever. And I told him I was interested in going that route of becoming a priest, and he's like, we brought up the sex thing, and I was like, I guess I'm not gonna be a priest because I know when I at that young age I knew I wanted to eventually have sexual relations with somebody. So,
me too.
Not kids.
Yeah, that's a deal breaker. That's a deal breaker.
Yeah,
that's a deal breaker.
Exactly. So fuck all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny. Similar.
Right,
yeah.
Cool, man.
Yeah, I look forward to getting together one of these days, dude. Sound like we got a lot of fun things in common.
Yeah, that'd be great. Well, you got me. I'm going to be going to this glass show for sure. I'm going. This is cool.
Hell
Not
yeah.
Open to the public. Wholesale buyer, media, or glass artist only. Can I get in there?
I think you should
to
be
go
able.
as a guest?
Yeah, quite possibly. I'll talk to Amy about it because.
Awesome.
There's like some back doors I might be able to help you get in there.
Cool.
Because
Right on.
you would
That'd be
definitely
awesome.
you'd be an asset, for you to be there.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, this looks cool.
I don't know if they'd require you to buy a spot or just buy a pass to come in, but either way, you can go in there and probably do your own little soliciting.
Yeah. Yep, that's awesome. I'll just buy like I like buying a pass and just walking around because I'm hyper. So I would walk around and just talk to everybody.
Yeah, yeah. Have a T-shirt on, and a hat, and a cape.
Yeah. Yes, 100%. 100%.
Be like the Aquaman kind of thing out there.
Yeah, I could do that. Possibly Batman. We'll see how I'm feeling in
Well, I was
May.
thinking Aquaman, because
things
it's kind of
could
on
change.
the theming of your branding and stuff.
Oh,
Gotta
dude, I might take that. That's funny.
just change it to your color scheme. Be the Aquaman.
Yeah, I'll do Aquaman. Just put my face on it, just saying helping glassware, CBD, and whatever.
Yeah.
That's funny.
And then eventually, if
I hope I don't get sued.
if cannabis is ever like federally legalized, you guys can then become like Aqua Payments and actually like have a water pipe on your page, as like part of the water thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Oh my God, connections.
Hey, I'm good at marketing, dude. I'm expensive though. like yourself.
Yeah, I know. I'm reasonable with it. Yeah, with CBD it's a little more expensive, but with glassware, actually the pricing. So like CBD and adult, it's more expensive,
Mm-hmm.
but with glassware, it's not that much more expensive than square and straight. That's why everybody's like, dude, it's not that much more,
Yeah.
to stay up forever.
Yeah,
for as long as possible.
Yeah, because like you're saying, man, like if you're paying say 5% for processing each payment, and down the road you lose like 10 grand, and the guy down the street's only like 8% processing, and he's legit, and you don't lose 10 grand, that you do the math, you're definitely making more in the long run.
Yeah, and you'll get it. So CBD is anywhere from like 3 to 5%, 3 to 4.95, but glassware I can get it a whole lot cheaper.
Nice.
It's not that much. Yeah, we do like interchange plus like 1.5, so it's ends up being nothing, and it's just in the bank knows what's going on. So yeah, ours isn't bad, and they don't have huge reserves, sometimes no reserves at all. So it's like, yeah, this is why I'm just spending most of my time there, because it's easy, the customers are happy, and it's just an easy one to do.
Yeah, it makes total sense. Hell yeah.
CBD is a little tougher.
Yeah, I could imagine, like you're saying, with the regulations and all that stuff, having to have
it's weird. Anytime there's a
results
food
and shit.
component, anytime if it's chocolate or a drink, those are really tough to do, believe it or not, because then the FDA gets involved. But if it's like a vape or if it's like a tincture, it's no problem. But my friend's starting a company and he has a chocolate. I'm like, I could do it, but it's just going to be tough. It's going to take a little longer. You have to get like all kinds of extra paperwork and stuff. It's weird. We're very strange world. But yet you can go into the market and see it on the shelves.
Right, exactly. I'm glad you bring that up, dude, because like my wife's a pastry chef, and I've been trying to talk her into, because now that Florida legalized edibles for medical use, and she's a pastry chef, and she makes macarons like just amazing. She has, and what's fucked up is I have the sweet tooth in the relationship. She doesn't have one, so hence why I've.
That's why you're a good fit.
Yeah, and why I put on 20 pounds.
High off her own supply.
Yeah, it's like living with your crack dealer kind of thing,
Yeah.
But
this could be fun.
Yeah, maybe. I've never smoked crack, so I don't know. But
yeah, me neither.
But I'm glad you're bringing it up, because I want to help her get things set up, to be able to down the road get this going for her. And processing payments is one thing. I have
a solution for that.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we'll be in touch for sure.
It's a little tough. I have a debit card. It's debit card only. I have another. On the edges, there's it's called an e-wallet. I have like an e-wallet solution, but I'm not even spending that much time doing that. I'm just doing like with the straight cannabis. I'm doing a debit solution, which is just more legit. And I feel more safe with it. And just traditional like CBD and glass.
Yeah.
I've kind of scaled back a little bit, because I was doing kratom. I was doing all kinds of stuff, but I've scaled it back to like glassware and CBD and a little bit of cannabis.
Yeah, it's probably smart. Help you focus on the details of the specifics, what you need.
Yeah, I'm just getting better and better at it.
Yeah. Hell yeah, dude. Well, before we let you go here and get to have you get on with your day, if you want to kind of give us some little parting piece of advice for those out there that are looking at processing payments and just in general or whatever, and then also where we can find you out there in cyberspace.
Yeah, perfect. So my whole thing is, you've worked so hard to set your business up. You work your ass off on your product, on your website. Don't payment processing isn't the place to skimp. There's, I'm a small business owner. There's places to skimp. There's places to not get a good product. Payment processing is so important. It's thought about last, but it's how you actually receive money for all the hard work you do. So it's really important. We allow you to receive money from your customers. So it's very important, part of business. So I would just say, kind of be careful who you're working with. If you're selling something a little on the edge, CBD, glassware, cannabis related, like soil, lighting, adult, you want the right tool for the job. And if you're on Square, Stripe, PayPal, nothing to freak out about, but just you might want to consider and just do a little Googling, Google match list, Google TMF list, and see what some of the dangers are. And I'm always happy to talk to anybody. I could see what you're doing, look at your page and see if you need me or not in about 30 seconds. If you wanted to reach out, you could do that via email. That's Steven, STEVEN, at Aqua, AQUA dash, there's a dash in there, PAYMENTS.com. So it's aqua-payments.com. So Steven at aquapayments.com. My friend made fun of me. He said, I don't like the dash in your thing. I guess a water company in China has Aqua Payments. I try to buy it from them. They don't want to sell it. I don't know why they don't even use it, but that's another story. You could also find me on Instagram, DM. I'm real quick to DM. It's just Aqua Payments, AQUAPAYMENTS. You DM me there, or you can hit me on my cell phone. It's 818-808-2553. That's 818-808-2553. If you think you need me, if you're doing glassware, if you're doing CBD adult, give me a shout, shoot me a text, show me your website, what you're doing. I'll let you know what I can do, and I won't waste your time. I'll just say yes or no in 30 seconds.
Hell yeah.
It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, man. Likewise. I appreciate you. And again, I'll get the...
Yeah. Oh, and I want to get a shout out to... Oh, sorry. Give a shout out to Greg at 710tools.com. We just used our last customer.
Nice.
This last Friday, we got him a deal, so I just want to say what's up to him.
Hell yeah. Nice. And I'll make sure
Sorry
I have
to cut you off.
Oh, no, you're good, dude. I'll have all your links in the show notes so everybody has your contact information and can definitely reach out to you. And definitely take advantage of this,
Awesome.
folks. Yeah, because this is definitely some great information and insight and just a different conversation to have because that's what I like to do here.
Right on.
Yeah, maybe we'll have you come back and do some half-hour routine of some stand-up comedy.
Oh, I would love to. I'm dirty. We're talking about high risk here. I'm a high risk stand-up.
Hey, man, we are all dirty. My wife actually doesn't like the things I say sometimes because of how raunchy I am. She's like, that's just, what the fuck is that for? I'm like, I don't know. It's fun. I like saying dumb shit.
My wife's a stand-up comedy. You could check. So my name's Steve Randolph. You could check my stuff out. Just Googling me, Steven Randolph, Randolph. And my wife's name is Chelsea Skidmore, CHELSEASKIDMORE. We actually had a podcast called The International Bad Boys with Sam Tripoli for a long time. So you can check out both of our stand-up too. I don't know if it might scare some people, but I don't give a shit. So there it is.
There you go. Hell yeah. You ever listen to Last Podcast on the Left?
No, who's that? Whose podcast is that?
It's just, they're actually a network. They have like 15 shows now or some crazy shit, but they do, it's like a true crime show.
Well.
They'll do like 4 or 5 episodes.
Oh, I love that.
But God, I'm having a fucking brain fart on the dude's name.
No, it's all good.
But he's like, some of the shit that he says would offend even the most just like heavy skinned, thin or thick skinned person. And I love it, dude. It's just, I don't know. I'm not gonna get into politics, but people are a little too sensitive these days. That's all I'm gonna say.
Be very sensitive, very sensitive. Just because you're sensitive doesn't mean you're right.
Exactly.
That's what I always think. Because your feelings are hurt doesn't mean you're right.
Yep, exactly.
Right on.
Awesome, dude. Well, enjoy your rest of your day.
Right on. Thank you so much. You too.
Yeah, take it easy.
Talk to you soon.
All right, man. Peace.
Bye.